guest. Isn't he around? Where did he go? Is he backstage? Get him out here. I have a few things I want to say to him. Can you go get him, please? There you go. It's good to see all of you here today. I hope we have a lively discussion this afternoon. You're actually part of a President's Council event. We just had our salon event over in McConnell, and this is an event that we hold every year to raise funds for financial aid for students. There he is. Well, I wrote this just for you. You better listen. We have the President's Council event every year, and the purpose of that is to raise funds for student financial aid. And this year we raised over $25,000, and I just want to thank all of those people who were there. All right, a baby was born, a beautiful, beautiful baby boy, August 25th, 1949, in the town of Tirat Carmel, just a year after his country, Israel, was born. The baby's mother, Flora Vitz, was a Holocaust survivor who knew too much of death and gave her baby a name, the only name that she could possibly give him. He would be named Chaim, life. Amidst the uncertainty of the time, Flora put all her dreams in the child she bore, her only child. Her philosophy was a simple one, but it was deep. Every day above ground was a good day. Her desire was to instill her love and her gratefulness for being alive in her child. In 1957, little Chaim was 8 and a half. He and his mother moved to the United States, and he changed his first name to Eugene. Mother and son settled in Brooklyn, New York. It wasn't easy for this youngest immigrant to fit into a culture where no one spoke his language, and he didn't understand the customs and traditions around him. In the air, there was a new sound. It was a sound that made all of the kids' feet tap and the adults shake their heads. Gene fell in love with American rock and roll. And after seeing the Beatles on the Ed Sullivan Show, the die was cast, as Gene said. When I saw the Beatles on that program in '64, I said, gee, you don't have to get in line and do stuff like the Temptations. You can pick up a guitar and you don't have to dance. You certainly don't need a band in back of you, and anybody can do it. Gene joined bands, and in between gigs did odd jobs, published band magazines, and traded his beloved comic books to make a little money. He changed his last name to honor the rockabilly performer Jumpin' Gene Simmons, whose most famous hit, I think, was Haunted House. When he was 15, his mother gave him a second-hand Kent guitar. It cost her $15, an enormous sum of money for a mother. By the time he was 19, he had played in half a dozen different bands. But he listened to his mother, listen to your mother, and he earned a bachelor's degree in education in 1970 from Richmond College in Staten Island. He continued to play club dates at night, but during the day he taught a 6th grade class, PS 75, in Spanish Harlem. As Gene said, I started teaching for the same reason as I started a band. I had a need to get up on the stage. Everybody needs the attention, but some a little more than others. His next gig was working at Glamour magazine and then as an assistant to Kate Lloyd, editor at Vogue magazine, where he learned a little bit about fashion, showmanship, makeup, and how to take a great photograph. While all of this was going on, he was becoming a linguist. In addition to speaking rock and roll, he learned English, Hungarian, Hebrew, German, and Japanese. In the early 70s, Gene and Stanley Eisen, later Paul Stanley, formed KISS, a little band that you may have heard of. To date, KISS has had 24 gold albums in the United States, sold more than 19 million albums in the United States, and their worldwide sales exceed 100 million albums. and Jean was the driving force behind their merchandising. In 1984, he met the stunning Shannon Tweed. Apparently she was not immediately impressed. It took Shannon a little while to warm up to the tall, very confident, dark-haired man. And the two have been together ever since. 5 years after they met, their son Nick was born. On their program, Family Jewels, Jean reveals a secret of loving parenting. You will delight your little boy if you give him one kitten as a surprise. You will render him hysterical with joy if you give him two. I have to say, my son was going through a rough patch last year, and he came up to me and he said, "Mom, can I have a kitten?" And I flashed on that scene, and I said, "Spark, get in the car." He has 2 kittens. His daughter Sophie followed in 1992, the out of his eye. Jean has said he won't stand for anything less from his children than that they be funny, creative, charming, and generous. And I think that he and Shannon have done a magnificent job. He has been active in the fight against cancer, supported music, education, and entertained the troops with the USO. As Pitzer parents, Jean and Shannon have been generous with their support to the college, and they have hosted functions at their home. So here we are this afternoon to hear from a businessman, a musician, a family man, the light of his mother's eye, partner of Shannon, and a 2-time Pitzer parent. And to you, Jean, I say l'chaim. You keep on dancing, and the room gets hot. You drive us wild, we'll drive you crazy. Everything you've got, and we all need to remember that life is a party every day. James Simmons.
Where's that microphone? Is it back there? Hi, everybody. Thank you so much. Now that you're beautiful and charming and bright and all things superlative, President has taken all my material. Thank you and good night. There's nothing left to say, really. I came to your wonderful country as an immigrant with my mother. As it was noted before, my mother was a concentration camp survivor of World War II, Nazi Germany. She went in at 14 years of age. And through my mother's eyes, I learned the wisdom that I have yet to hear from the sages and the philosophers, existential or otherwise, about the nature of life and what it is that you've got as a gift. It's not a birthright, it's a privilege, life itself. Every day above ground is a good day indeed. I don't take notes, I don't sit down and prepare these things. I do lectures. Yesterday I was at Cannes Film Festival, which is actually the Cannes MIPCOM, the International Television Conference, where I was the keynote speaker. And it was a business discussion, more telling people how to run their business better, more effectively. And what I want to talk to you about, really, is my story about how a little poor immigrant boy came with his mother. Neither one of us had language skills or people skills. We used to walk around like this because our self-esteem was really low because we couldn't communicate. What are you, stupid? Can't you speak English? And we've all been picked on in some ways through our existence. And I want you to, if I can impart something to you, it's something I learned. When I came to America, I found out that all the troubles of the world simply didn't exist here, relatively speaking. In other parts of the world, my lineage, my religion, the people that I come from, were being wiped out. Here in America, we were being celebrated. And it was racism and religious bigotry and on and on and on. But in America, all things are possible. You cannot fail. Look, you're learning things the way I learn things. We learn information, right? 1 and 1 is 2, and so on and so forth, history and science. And in a very short time, like next week, you're going to be going out into the world and you're going to be expected to make your own way. And mom and dad are going to step back and it's up to you to do it. And while school and teachers are here to give you the pieces of the puzzle, it's going to be up to you to put those pieces together. And what that sort of means is, when I first came to America, I literally couldn't speak English. But I made it my business that I would not only learn to speak English, but learn to speak it better than people who were born here. Sometimes I say it in jest, but it actually bears repeating. Dress British, think Yiddish. When in Rome, do as the Romans. Learn to speak the language well so you can communicate. Learn to take off the affectation and walk up to somebody you've never met before, look them right in the eye, and connect with them. Engage. Hi, I'm Gene Simmons. What's your name?
Hi, I'm me.
It's nice to see you. You will be judged. Let me take this nonsense off. This is what, I can't say that word here. That's an affectation. Big word like gymnasium. You will be judged by how you project yourself. We've never met before. I'm fearless. I will look you right in your face because I don't care what you think about me. My most important weapon is me. I'm delusional about myself. As I'm embarrassing both Sophie and Nick. They're rolling their eyes because they see dad at home go to the mirror and they go like this. Throwing kisses at myself. Love yourself. You have all the information in front of you. Loving parents, education, so on and so forth. But at the end of the day, nobody's going to be able to teach you that thing that you're going to need most of all. The belief in yourself. So when I came to America, by the way, if any one of you has any problem in being seen around the world in as many as 84 countries, look the other way because our television crew is filming this. We have a TV show called Gene Simmons Family Jewels, which is now filming its 6th season. We've already done 100 shows, and the crews just basically follow us around. Okay, now I'm meandering because I told you I don't take notes. I want to show you what's possible in America. By the way, I said this before, you cannot fail. You can fail school. You can fail if you take somebody out on a date, they won't go with you, and you can fail. You won't get a job, and you can fail. You can't fail in America. You can't. I'll prove it to you. You have a job, you lose everything, you owe people money. The government and the laws of this land allow you to declare bankruptcy, either Chapter 7 or Chapter 11, and you're allowed to start again. And if you don't get one job, you will get another job. You really will succeed, I promise you. Take it from an immigrant boy who came to America, didn't have language skills, I couldn't speak a word of English, had no education, and never ever put my eggs in one basket. I worked afternoons at one job and taught 6th grade at another job, and at night at 10 or 11 o'clock had this bizarre notion of putting together the band that we never saw on stage. Because what I do is I listen. And even though I have a lot of information, I have a lot of experience, I'm 61 years old. That's not the point. The point is, I've done lots of stuff, been lots of places, know lots of stuff. What I do best of all is I know how to listen. And I don't care if you're experienced or if you're new, if you've never done something, I want to know what people are going to say to me. I know how to listen because what I find out from you, I can't get from marketers and from the professional people. And I mentioned this before in the meeting we just had. Steven Spielberg is the most successful filmmaker of all time. He does a very strange thing when he finishes his movie. He goes to Ypsilanti or Wabash, places you've never heard of, and he shows his film to the people least qualified, who know nothing about film. And they're going to tell him they don't like the ending, change this, change that. So I know how to listen. And the way to succeed is to learn how to listen. Also read the Los Angeles Times. That's important. May I show them? Always read it. So while I was going to really wow you with this informational video that showed you that any dream worth having is a dream worth working for and then doing. And that while you're here going to school and getting good grades, it's going to mean nothing unless you apply it in life. You know? You're going to go to the first person who's going to potentially give you a job. Look, I got a 95, in Wombats. What do you think of that? Good. I make shoes. Can you work here? So you're going to have to be able to apply your information in the real world. And the biggest tool you've got is going to be you. Hi, I'm Gene Simmons. What's your name?
My name is Scott Chipt.
Scott, you're a powerful and attractive man. That I knew. I thought I might engage you and find out what you want to know, not from me, because remember, I do lecture tours. I lecture to big corporations. We have Simmons, Abramson Marketing. I was the guy that came up with the I Am Indy campaign for IndyCar and the Indy 500, because I love the way I feel when I get behind the wheel. I am Indy. I started that. That was years ago. That was then copied by the NFL. I am the NFL. It was then copied by Disney. I am Disney, and so on and so forth. And I have a record company called Simmons Universal, a joint venture with Universal Records. We're about to release our first 2 artists. Thank you. That's Cooper, our camera guy. Cooper is single, by the way. Loves girls. Woo! He doesn't mind lying to you in the right way either. You're the only one. I promise I'll never. Sophie's going, oh, it's true. Pardon me? He's a good Southern gentleman. The way I lead my life and the way I can do so many different things is I have no staff. I don't have an assistant. I don't use assistants. Right, Nick and Soph? Is there anybody at home that answers the phone for me or does anything? Mom. Well, I work for Mom. That's, as any guy will tell you, we just work here. But the reason for that is I have a peculiar point of view about business. And that is, let me give you a sense of what I'm talking about. Because the old-fashioned way of leading businesses is structurally sound a century ago. The first thing you needed was a building, then you needed staff. You needed insurance, and you had to pay for your staff, and pregnancy leave, and I forgot to tie my shoelaces leave, and I'm going on vacation leave, and so the guy who started a business was very, very costly for him or her to start a business. So because of the new information age and because of the internet, I decided to do a modern business structure. I don't have offices. I don't have staff. Whenever I do a joint venture, Simmons, Universal, Simmons Records is me, I use their infrastructure. I used their people. I used their marketing. And all I do is get a small piece of gross. Let them pay for everything. Because if I wanted to distribute and manufacture and promote and sell and do all the other things that a record company does, I'd have to go through a learning curve, pay for everybody, rent, insurance, and on, ad infinitum, ad nauseum. Doesn't work, too expensive. I'd rather somebody else who's already in the business, who does it every day, do it. So initially, when you enter the workforce, how this applies to you is, you want to work for an entity. And remember, don't ever put your eggs in one basket. Do your own thing on the side. Never just do one thing. So, do you mind me asking you, sir, your name?
Mac.
What do you do, Mac?
I'm an English major. I like to write poetry and read stuff.
What else?
I play drums and guitar and I like to go hiking.
I don't mean what you like to do. How do you make money? So you're going to get your diploma. You try to apply them. Not remember, it's not the information, but how you're going to apply that knowledge to make money, because that's the most important thing. I mean, even God passes the hat, right? So how are you going to make money with that?
Teach or journalism or
That's good. I have a teaching degree. I have a BA in education. I actually taught 6th grade in Spanish Harlem. I hope nobody here speaks Spanish, because I was going to tell you what I learned on the first day. ¿Te hablas español? Anybody? One. Ooh. Anyway, on the first day of school, I learned maricón, la tuya, tu madre. So that does not mean good morning, Jewish person. And when you learn something, you want to learn it correctly, right? So as an English major, you would obviously have language skills, the ability to impart that knowledge. You're connecting with my eyes, that's good. You know, good self-esteem notions, because as a teacher, you're going to have to connect with people that you're going to teach, right?
right.
So you want to hedge your bet and never just do one thing. That's what I do. I'm in a rock band. You know, KISS has been around 37 years. We've played 5,000 concerts, broken box office records by the Beatles and Elvis and all kinds of stuff. We have 3,000 licenses. I told you the joke. And there's a KISS. As a matter of fact, 2 young ladies over here are the KISS Vixens. They followed. How many shows have you been to? 21. In 2 years. We have some fans who've seen 200 shows. We're very, very lucky. But if I wanted to form a band in Zimbabwe, not going to happen. You're at the right place at the right time in history. You cannot fail. It's impossible for you to fail. I mean, I keep saying that over and over again. So my business model, I'm wandering all over the place, but I want to connect with you instead of going linear, because life isn't linear. It's really not. It goes like this and moves all over the place. So the business structure is very simple. Get all the information you can. You're going to have to apply it. Don't just do one thing, because if that one thing dies, you have no fallback position. Always have a fallback position. When you buy a car, how many wheels come with the car?
I'm sorry, I mean,
You bought a car, how many wheels do they give you?
4.
That's incorrect.
5.
Do you need 5 wheels for the car?
No.
You do.
Okay.
Okay, why does he need 5 wheels for the car?
In case one breaks down, he has an extra.
Not in case. You will get one. No, you get a 5th, no trick question. You get a 5th wheel in the back. It's not a matter of when, because sooner or later you will get one. It's just the way it is. Wait long enough, you'll get one. You have to plan for that. So there's always got to be a fallback position. It's just life. So what do you want to do?
The English teacher? I want to become an English teacher.
I'm noticing a pattern here. How many of you want to be English teachers? What's the fallback position?
Business. Open up business. People kiss.
Oh, that's good. Initially, I would urge you strongly not to open your own business. As you're going through the learning curve, join a business. Let them pay your salary so you don't have to staff up real estate, insurance, and all that stuff. You don't want to spend your own money. Let them pay you while you're learning the business, whatever business you want to be in. And that's what we did with KISS. Somebody else paid us, a record company, to be that. Other people's money, you want to use that, even if you have to borrow in a bank. Not always a good idea, but if you're going to, still don't use your own money. So what I want to do, by the way, since I'm wandering all over the place, since I love the sound of my own voice, I really do, is to give you the microphone. The great stuff is going to come when you engage, and I want you to be able to ask any question, either of each other or me, and we'll come up with some great stuff, I promise you. But people who haven't done it yet ask better questions than people who have. So, who hasn't graduated from school yet? I'm going to be right in your face. Here you go.
Hi.
Stand up. Stand. You don't want to? You don't have to. Grab control. Look me in the face. Take the microphone.
Hi, Gene. What sort of job am I applying for?
You tell me. Tell me what's great about you.
Man, oh man.
This. Hi. What's your name?
Janet.
Hi, Janet. I'm Gene Simmons. What are you majoring in?
Media studies,
What is media study?
film production, and editing in my case.
And your fallback position in case that doesn't work out.
I don't know, Gene.
You have to think about those things.
I've had my whole life ahead of me. I'm still in my youth, get to be irreverent and careless and carpe diem or whatever we're supposed to do.
You're killing me. But no, honestly, without the jokes, no, don't stand, you're on. They're looking at you, that's good. That's why you buy makeup and high heels. They want you to look at you. So in all seriousness, when nobody's looking and you sit there and you daydream, you want to do something else besides. What besides film editing and what's the other thing?
Be happy. No, not.
Well, I don't know how to make money doing that, but it's all about that. Okay, you'll figure it out.
I'll figure it out.
Thank you. Anybody want to tell me? You're on.
Oh boy. I'm Kira. I actually don't go to Pitzer, I go to the CMC. As do the rest of these guys.
Look up. Who are you? What do you do? Take charge.
I'm Kira. I'm thinking about being a dual lit and psych major. It's kind of like double majoring, except it's a little bit less of the workload. It's a little bit of the lazy man's double.
And so while you're double majoring, what's your fallback position and how do you make money? If you know, if you don't, then don't. There's your microphone.
I'd love to be a writer. Writing what? I'm not entirely sure. Probably fiction. If not, I'm really interested in forensic psychology.
Have you figured me out yet?
You? I don't think so.
Oh! Neither have I. This is the kind of stuff that happens in the real world. You're put on the spot. Thanks. I'm sorry for putting you on the spot. Not really. It's embarrassing. You're going to go for your resume and you're going to sit in front of some guy or gal who's going to give you a job or not. And they're going to open with, so, tell me about yourself. What are you going to do? That's what happens. That deathly silence happens. So they don't teach you that in school, unfortunately. Self-esteem. And you should have self-esteem. Be delusional about yourself. Hi, I'm Gene Simmons. Who are you? Stand up.
I'm Adrian.
You're on.
I'm a history major. I'm going to go to law school and do humanitarian law.
Fallback position.
Corporate law.
You will always get a job in corporate law. Corporate law is as litigious as you can imagine. Every corporation sues every other corporation. And I myself have lots of different corporations and I sue everybody all the time. I'm not even kidding. All the time. Because everybody dares transgress. And I would urge everybody, if you can, be litigious. Sue people. Really. Really, because what people tend to do is they tend not to respect your domain, the stuff you own. If it's your name and likeness, if you have trademarks, if you have copyrights, they will cross your property, they will do all kinds of stuff. I used it in the meeting we had before. Be like an animal. You know what animals do? They can't speak very well, they don't go to Pitzer, but you know what they do? They pee on the ground. And what they tell everybody else is, this area, you can't cross that line. And if you do, in their language, I'm going to sue you. Protect what's yours. You'll only get the respect you demand. Let me show you how you can come from another country like me. I'm a knucklehead. You're much brighter than I am. And let me show you what's possible if you have the information, you're at the right place at the right time, and you're willing to work your butt off. Okay? Dim the lights. Let me show you something.
Continues as one of America's top gold record champions of all time. Kiss's award-winning merchandising effort has garnered more revenue in retail and concert merchandising than any other music act of all time. Forbes profiled Kiss, the juggernaut of licensing and merchandising, for over 3 decades. Kiss and Pepsi joined together on stage for their successful Joy of Cola series. Kiss and Nike. Gene Simmons appears with Michael Jordan and Spike Lee in Nike's Just Do It TV advertising campaign.
My dad made me play baseball.
And Holiday Inn Express.
All right, man. That was possibly the finest rock and roll show I have ever seen. Ice Melt World Tour! Wow. You mean the whole world? Yeah. You're not, Gene. You're not, Paul. You guys aren't Kiss?
No. But we did stay at a Holiday Inn Express last night.
Stay smart. Stay at a Holiday Inn Express.
Kiss and NASCAR have successfully teamed up for the 5th consecutive year. Kiss, NASCAR, and the NHRA continue to dominate the world of professional motorsport sponsorships. The National Hockey League Visa card through Bank One. Kiss and Coca-Cola have presented a new series of TV ads in France.
Guys, we should start a rock band.
Japan's Nikkei Entertainment and Kiss.
Look, Jane, all the girls have such thin eyebrows.
I want to know why. Why?
Why?
Kiss and Canon Japan unveiled the all-new Kiss Digital X camera. Kiss, iTunes, and Singular Wireless launched the world's first mobile phone that downloads Kiss iTunes. Kiss and Mars Candy. Kiss and Hasbro. Tooth Tunes. Brush your teeth to rock and roll all night.
Tooth Tunes, brushing never rock this hard. Tooth Tunes.
Kiss and Universal Orlando Resorts. Together, we'll make every guest feel like a rock star. The first Kiss Coffee House franchise is now open in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, with more coffee houses and Kiss cafes planned to open soon. Kiss and Progressive Gaming rolled out the Kiss Slot Machine Game Station, appearing in casinos worldwide. Kissology, the definitive Kiss DVD series, featuring volumes 1, 2, and 3, has now garnered sales of 20 times platinum. Kiss's action figures are now in stores worldwide. Sales are more than 2.5 million domestic alone. Kiss's leading retail music merchandiser, Universal Studios Spencer Gifts, has exclusively offered the new Kiss 24-inch collectible dolls with sales over $5 million and growing. The prestigious Kiss brand graces literally thousands of existing and new products, including a new Kiss fragrance, a Kiss trunk high-end clothing line, Kissopoly, Kiss Brunswick bowling balls, and NASCAR NHRA die-cast collectible cars by Action Sports. The broad selection of Kiss touring merchandise runs the gamut, from Kiss leather jackets and custom t-shirts to autographed gold and platinum certified award plaques. A wide variety of new merchandise includes Kiss Hasbro eye dogs, Kiss U.S. postage stamps, Kiss Vans sneakers and jeans, makeup kits, motorcycle helmets, Pez candy, and Kiss Toy Vault plush figures, collectible Kiss coin sets, Halloween masks, Christmas ornaments, Kiss phone cards, signed lithographs, neckties, wine sets, and much more. Kisstory, the monumental 9-pound, 440-page coffee table book, tells the history of the hottest band in the land. And now, Kisstory 2, the Kiss Toys, Games, and Girls Collector's Bible, showcases the amazing 30-year Kiss licensing and merchandising juggernaut. The Kiss catalog, featuring the Grammy-nominated Psycho Circus, includes 42 albums, recorded over 35 years, selling 75 million albums worldwide.
We made 1,200,000 just from one night at the Tokyo Dome, not in ticket sales, in t-shirt sales. Holds the record anywhere on earth. So, what are you getting out of this? Because you're at Pitzer and you're learning all kinds of stuff I could never teach you, but there's something I hope you'll get inspired about. Not I want to inspire you. I hope you'll get inspired to go out there in the world and be a rock star. Really. Swear to you. Walk into a room, any room. If you meet a beautiful girl, let her know she's it and she'll be wowed by your presence. Be a presence. Be charismatic. Be a rock star. When you go to your job, when you meet a grown-up, that's a nice person, I think I'll give him, you want to be an intern in my company? Be a rock star. Take all the stuff that they're teaching you at Pitzer, put that fuel inside of yourself, hold your head up high, walk through life like you own it. Because you can. And we can go on all night if you like, and I'll talk as long as you like, except I'm going to catch my daughter's 6 p.m. volleyball game. By the way, Sophie, who's not a natural-born athlete, and I'll tell you about Nick and I'll embarrass him because that's my job. Sophie's not a natural-born athlete. She had to work her butt off for it. She's the MVP. The award is this tall. She is the co-captain of her volleyball team, but not a natural-born athlete. She's a rock star. Nick, he's a rock star. He draws, he writes, he's going to be writing his first book. He's already drawn and written his own comic books. Nothing's going to stop him. He's going to figure out what he wants to do, and he's going to do it like a rock star. I urge you, I'm going to repeat it again. Take everything you've learned, take your eyes, most powerful instrument you've got, walk up to people you've never met before, and let them know you're confident. You're doing well.
Hello.
You're doing well. That was good. Nice to see you.
I'm Danielle. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too. You'll be judged by how you act. Be a rock star. That's all. Thank you. Wave to the camera. And that's Cooper too, and Cooper's single. So we're here if you want to talk to us, but really there's not much more to say. We could use many more words to get the point across. It's going to be what's inside of you and how you let people judge you. I'm done. Oh.
Hello? You want to take questions, or are you done? I'm Rick Davino. Nice to meet you. We have a lot in common. Yes. We both love Pitzer, first and foremost. We both had children to go to Pitzer. We both worked for NBC. You were talent. I was a tax lawyer, but that's pretty good. And I'm on the board of trustees at Pitzer, and we want to thank you very much for both the President's Council, a speech and conversation that Gene had just before this, and most especially to share your views with the audience, particularly the students at Pitzer and CMC. And as a small token of our esteem, most importantly that you gave to Pitzer, the faculty and staff, your two children, to help educate. They obviously have been educated by you. We want to give you something that we know you need on behalf of the entire Pitzer community. And as the final thing that Gene and I have in common, I have only one note, so I can't sing, so I don't have that in common. But like his daughter, my son played for the Pomona Pitzer Sagens, water polo, in his case volleyball. I hope that everyone here goes to the 6 o'clock volleyball game to give the volleyball team a big crowd. So with that, Gene, thank you very much for everything you've done for us.
Okay, here we go.
Hi, Pitzer 95, and I'm a third grade teacher, and I was just wondering if you have any stories, your favorite stories from when you taught 6th grade.
Well, I taught 6th grade in Spanish Harlem. It was not a very friendly environment for teaching and for information because, well, a lot of the kids came from broken homes. Some had, unfortunately, crack mothers, and the dads were usually not around. Very bad environment. So these kids were physical. And there was a lot of pushing and fighting, and they thought they could get ahead by, the primitive way. And there were two little young guys, 12, 13 years of age, in 6th grade, who kept using physicality and violence as a way to get attention from the girls, respect from the other guys, sort of from the streets. So I embarrassed them. I stood them up in class and I said, one was Miguel. Miguel, you think you can kick your ass? No, we can't. All right, you think you can do it? Tell you what we're going to do, because everybody's watching, so now they're on. We're going to take you to the gym, and we're going to get you gloves. And here are the rules. You want to fight? You fight within the rules, and everybody's going to be watching. They both got banged up pretty good. There was some crying. They couldn't back off because everybody was, you want attention? You got it. Learn some rules, and from then on, they were pretty good the rest of the year. You want to fight? We'll all watch you. Go ahead and fight. Just don't pick on anybody else. You two guys go at each other. The other story is that I couldn't get the kids interested in reading. They couldn't connect with Jane Eyre. Rosy-cheeked English girl, English countryside, thick book, old English. They just didn't get it. They couldn't connect with it. Dad wasn't around. Mom usually was not around either. They were on the street in Spanish Harlem. So I brought in Spider-Man. And I'll tell you why I thought about that. Spider-Man was a teenager who had pimples, didn't do so good with the girls. The cops didn't like him, they thought he was a crook. The crooks sure didn't like him. He was an outcast. That's exactly what they felt like. I'm an outcast. Spider-Man could have been any race, any color, he was just an outcast. That's what they felt like in society. So I told him to go read Spider-Man meets, I think, The Vulture, drawn by Steve Ditko, written by Stan Lee, who was originally Stanley Lieber, lettered by Sam Rosen. Flo Steinberg was his secretary. Do your due diligence. I want you to read Spider-Man versus the Vulture from cover to cover, including the advertising. I have the right to ask you what any word means in the advertising. Circumference, and book. It's your duty. You read a comic book, but I can ask you any word. We did really well, because, by the way, my thesis in college was the social significance of the panel-graphic art form. It's modern literature for the people, by the people, for the people, comic books, created in America. It's the basic Nietzschean Übermensch, the Superman, as applied in America. My thesis was that Superman was actually, oh, you're gonna love this, was Jewish mythos about how Superman came down a space ark from space, from aliens, and was adopted by local people on Earth, the way Moses was sent in an ark down the River Nile by his parents who were about to perish, and was then adopted as a little Jewish kid by the Egyptians and rose to power. Be meek and mild, adapt to the local blah, blah, blah. Anyway, that was my thesis. I got an A+. But the idea is, whatever your point of view about it, if you can't read books, read comic books. Just read, read, read. I was taken to task by the teachers, not the way we teach. This is the curriculum. There should be no curriculum. Just get the kids to read.
Understand the record?
Sure. How do you know what a record is? Oh. I have shown these things to people and I go, what's that? Okay, hold this, sir. Yes, that came out in 1970, well, maybe 1870. I knew I liked you. More? Yes, sir. Oh boy. My son is here. I will tell you the God's honest truth, and I've written about it in my books. I've written 4 so far. All New York Times bestsellers. Quite honestly, number one, marriage has a terrible statistical problem. Statistically, men aren't any good. They don't have women are a much more superior life form than men. We are, and people think I kid around, but I'm deadly serious. we're prone to the more primitive instincts. To make a long story short, if you look at the statistics, women are angels, we're not so much. The real reason I'm scared of marriage, but if I was to marry anybody, it would certainly be Shannon. I've lived together with the love of my life for 27 years, is that my father ran out on us. Us means me. Notice the way I was trying to put some armor around myself so it doesn't hurt too much. I was 7 years old when my father ran out on us. And my sense is that it's not the only story like that. Men run out on their families. CNN has done statistics on this, and the numbers are horrific. We have a terrible reputation. Men do, and we should be ashamed of ourselves. I didn't want to become my father. I was afraid I would run out on the family. I really was, and that's the real answer to it. Am I ever going to marry Shannon? Stay tuned. Yes, sir.
Hi, Mr. Simmons. First off, let me say thank you so much for coming and thank you for your wonderful speech. My name is Adam. It's nice to meet you. My main question is, given the wonderful track record that the merchandising of the KISS label has had, I was wondering if you really considered KISS as a band and your music primarily an economic asset or an artistic outlet?
I don't want to blow the romantic notion of inspiration and creativity and stuff like that. But if you believe in truth in advertising, and if you believe in the legal term, full disclosure before the fact, if you're a musician, it's actually not called music. It's actually indeed called music business. And if you're in show, you're not. It's really called show business. And if a piece of art is so good, it's priceless. You can't put a price on it. The commerce of everything, including religion, politics, and everything else, if you think it's an evil, it's certainly a necessary evil, because without the commerce, nothing is possible. You can't paint a stroke, you can't strum a guitar, you can't do anything if your rent's not paid. And if you're lucky enough, like me, to be able to do something you love and charge for it, so much the better.
Thank you very much.
Hi, I'm Emily. Nice to meet you. I have two things. The reason I was looking down is because I wanted to say I love your shoes.
Oh, thank you.
But my question is, what is your most embarrassing story from a performance?
My son likes my hair. All right. I've never had an embarrassing moment as long as I was paid. I mean that. I've had embarrassing moments when I was a kid and I jumped up on my mom's coffee table to try to please Aunt Magda, who always thought I was cute, and I must have been, I don't know, 3 years old, and I had these big pajamas, must have been my dad's, and I got up on the coffee table made out of wood and started to, kind of like pretend I was tap dancing, although I didn't know what that was. But the bird kept jumping in and out of the pajama, and I didn't know what I was doing, So they were all laughing as I was doing, and I didn't know why they were laughing. I thought I could really tap dance. It was the bird. When my mother explained to me what it was, I learned the meaning of embarrassment. Aren't you glad you asked? Hello.
My name is Priya. I'm a senior at Pitzer College. Nice to meet you. Thanks for coming here.
Nice to meet you.
I had a question about, you were going around asking people what their backup plans were. And so I was thinking about it, and I don't have one. And
You should have one.
So I wanted to kind of ask you about that. Growing up, all my mentors, my parents, they were always telling me, if you want to achieve something, you have to know you're going to achieve it. And I feel like the second I thought
They had it almost right.
so I feel like
It's not about the it.
It's about?
It's about you. You're going to succeed no matter what you do. You listen to what you said, because what you say either empowers you or takes you down. What did your parents or grandparents say?
They said if you know you're gonna get if you know, you say you want something, and you have to really know deep down that you're going to get it, and that's how you get there.
But you keep talking about it and something. And
Okay, so for me, it's to be a doctor. I'm a pre-med student. I'm in a medical program here. I want to be a doctor, and being here too, I not only want to become a doctor now, I want to help people around the world. I'm looking into Doctors Without Borders personally. But backup plan, I don't have one, and I feel like when I mentioned a backup plan, and which I guess would be public health, but I haven't really developed it. I feel like my mentors would say, you're creating a backup plan, you're doubting yourself. So you're not knowing that you're going to achieve your dream.
The smart ones always have a backup plan. In business and religion, and whether you buy a car or anything else, the smart ones always have a backup plan. Doctors Without Borders infers you're not going to be teaching in an English-speaking country. Wouldn't you say that's fair? Mm-hmm. Which country could you imagine yourself being a doctor in?
I would probably go somewhere in Latin America.
Do I hablar español?
Un poco.
Yeah, not enough. So that means you'll want to learn Spanish.
Yeah, right.
How about that? So while you're getting your teaching degree, you're going to teach yourself how to speak Spanish well enough so that you'll be able to communicate. How about that? All of a sudden you can also be a translator and hire yourself out for that. Isn't it? See, every tool you've got. You know, I've met people who have, because I did research and stuff for some of the business books I've written. You can be working as a plumber and have stamp collecting as your hobby. The stamp collection you have may be worth more than the job you've got. So all of a sudden your stamp collection, if you put in the time and effort and know about it, then 1904 Liechtenstein is much more, that's a small country in Europe. Monaco this and Liechtenstein that, and all this stuff, Sudetenland before the Germans came, all this stuff, and here's the stamp, and you find it because of this, blah, blah, blah. All of a sudden, you're not only an expert, you can write a book, but you can open a big stamp store. Forget about the plumbing. You actually wind up doing something you love and are qualified to do and make more money doing it. It was the hobby that paid you more money than the job you hated doing.
So use what you already have, don't go out and get more tools.
No, always get more. Always read voraciously.
Okay.
Knowledge is your biggest weapon. The more you know, the more you'll get paid. Try getting a job without an education. You'll get very little money. You have more education, you'll get more money. Then you have experience, you'll get more money. If you know more than one thing, I'll give you even more money. The more you know, and the more flexible in the areas you have knowledge in, the more money you'll make. It's pretty simple.
So you're saying by having a backup plan, I'm not doubting plan A.
Who cares what the mindset is? Just go and win and have lots of tools. You know what I mean? I can speak Spanish. I can be a medical person. I can, I can be a social worker. I can be a shrink. I can teach. I can do this. Because by the way, by being a medical person who also speaks Spanish and English, do you speak any other languages?
I speak some Hindi, I understand it.
Hindi. You know what? You're leagues ahead of me. I speak other languages, but not Hindi. So now all of a sudden, you can go to India, obviously, and communicate there with English. By the way, you're talking about perhaps the second or third biggest economy on planet Earth, with the second biggest population of human beings on planet Earth. And you don't think you have other skills besides being a potential doctor? That's big stuff. So if you teach yourself fluent Hindi and Spanish and English, and you become a pre-med, you're not a triple threat, you're a quad threat. That's pretty big. I'd pay you a lot of money for that. You can teach, you can inspire people, you can cure them, all kinds of stuff.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Here.
I'm Jamie. I'm a Pitzer junior. And as a college student, we have a lot to juggle, like school, social life, extracurricular activities. And I was wondering, as a rock
What is the
star-
difference between social life and extracurricular activities? I thought that was one and the same.
I would say extracurricular activities is like clubs or.
But that's social.
True. Okay. True.
There's school
I kind
and
of
there's
thought social
social.
life was like partying and.
Social.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was wondering if, as like a rock star, businessman, parent, if you ever find it hard to juggle everything, and if you
Sure.
get stressed out.
Sure.
And if you have any advice for us of how we can handle our stress.
Sure. Get over it.
Okay.
Nothing's easy. You want to ask your mother what birth was like? She had stress, and she go, "Oh my God, I'll never do it. Don't ever touch me again." That's to the man in her life. Stress, 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 agony, pain, thing, and then you get your reward. Everything. Going to school, I'm not going to pass. I'm so stressed out. This, so what? That this too shall pass. The idea is to stick to it. Anything. Going to the gym is a pain in the butt. Doing work. Going out on a date. They like me. They won't like me. First date, second date. Stress, 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 stress. Get over it. Yeah, you'll be fine.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you. I'm Aaron Widow. Saw you in, I think, 79 or 80 at the forum with Cheap Trick.
You mean Cheap Trick with us?
Yeah. I was just curious, when you guys first started, you and Paul worked together, was makeup in the thought at the beginning, or did that kind of come on after a while to get more attention? And the other thing, too, was I had a question about touring. When you toured with other bands, was there any one band you really liked to tour with, and would you guys do things outside of when you had the concerts, or was it pretty much just when you were at the concerts when you guys would hang out together?
I'll go backwards. We did anything and everything we could to spread the brand. I would write postcards to radio disc jockeys. Thanks so much for playing our song, just to make a connection. Every postcard is planting a seed. And whenever you see a farmer doing a little popcorn fart seed into the ground, you go, what a waste of time. Nothing. You come back the next week, nothing. Come back a month after that, look at that. It keeps coming back and watering it. Month after month, nothing. What a waste of a jackass. Well, you know what happens? Keep planting those seeds over and over. Keep watering the seeds, and sooner or later you're going to get your, the fruits of your labor. It's not just planting it. You got to keep coming back. It's like that dish, that guy that, how does he manage to get all those dishes running around? He keeps coming back and twirling it again. You can do lots of stuff. What were the rest of the questions? From the beginning. The other idea is always, how do I stand out in a room of other people who want to do the same thing I do? Ask any girl. There's going to be a party. She's going to check to see what all the other girls are wearing. Because she's not going to wear a red dress if the other girls are wearing a red dress, right? Yeah, she wants to stand out. They're all wearing black. I'm going to wear red. Always stand out. Don't do what everybody else is doing. Do a different thing. Get the attention. Is a little bird. It's the smallest little bird in the nest. Not my little bird. I'm here all week, try to reveal. So there's a little bird, it's in a nest. It's surrounded by huge birds that are older and stronger and stuff like that. And the mom bird comes back with a juicy worm. Who's gonna get the worm? The biggest birds or the loudest one? Chirp, 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 chirp. The one who makes the most amount of commotion. But the wings is you don't have to be the biggest, you don't have to be the strongest or the smartest. It's the one that grabs the attention. It always works. I have people who I hire in all kinds of areas. I look for that special person with, by the way, you're doing a good thing now. Yeah, this contact, it's strong. I want to look elsewhere. I'm going, he's looking at me. I guess I better look at him. It's strength. So I'll always give a shot to the people who have that, arch their back, walk in, and you have the conviction of whatever it is that you're selling. Two vacuum cleaner salesmen selling exactly the same vacuum cleaner will not wind up selling the same amount of vacuum cleaners. Because it ain't about the vacuum cleaner. It's the vacuum cleaner salesman. You're not buying a vacuum cleaner, you're buying the salesman. Also, don't talk too much like me. When a vacuum cleaner salesman says, "Miss, would you like to buy a vacuum cleaner?" and she says yes, shut up. Don't say, "Good choice, let me tell you why. This was a good deal." You'll talk yourself right out of a sale. But no two vacuum cleaner salesmen sell the same amount. People always think I answer this to get the sound bite or the funny answer. I promise you, I promise you that the only answer that ever comes out of my mouth is the one that pays me more. Really, without the joke. The one I love is when I bring a chunk load of money and show Sophie and Nick and Mom, "Look what I got." Because how else do you do it? "Look at this nice song I wrote." That's great. How do I buy a house with that? Isn't it true, ladies? A guy might say, "I love you." If you're good, Ben, you will always say, "How much do you love me?" You won't say that? You won't? Okay. Give it a few years. Give it a few years.
Hello. Whoa, sorry. I mean, I'm not sorry.
Yeah!
My name's Tim, and I'm really loud. Okay. And my question actually dovetails off of what you just said. We've been talking a lot about success and money, and I was wondering what your opinion is about when you have a job that you love and you're able to make enough money, when is the line of being okay and not necessarily, is success defined as money? And, if you're at a comfortable place where you're able to supply for your family and supply and you found a job that makes you happy, is that where your goal is, or do you keep going to get more money that's not necessary?
I'm glad there are people like you in the world. I do. I could never imagine living life when the word enough. When is enough? When I'm dead. The most powerful people on the face of the planet who have the most amount of money, Bill Gates, Warren Buffett, Carlos Slim, who's Mexican, but was actually born in Lebanon, always get up every day and go out there and work and make more money. Now, by the way, what you do with the money, or what I do with my money, is my own business, but as it happens, the richest people in the world actually give billions away. Warren Buffett, who's worth, I don't know, 40 billion, something like that, just give away half of it to the Bill Gates Foundation to buy computers for third world country kids so that they can have access to the same information that you and I have here in America, the poorest person in the world. Bless you. So what money does, no, it's never enough. Because if you think that there's a limit on what you do, how about working your butt off all your life, just like, even if you're a gerbil in a cage, keep moving. When is it enough? You're alive. Keep moving, keep making more money. Even if you give it all away, what you do with it is your business. If you make more money, wouldn't you be doing other people good? Can't you buy your mom the hip operation she needs and your family the house that they want, or charity the money? If there aren't people like me around, where's charity getting their money from?
What if that extra amount of money then takes away the time you spend with your family?
Give and take. You can be a guy that watches sports and dips chips and stays at home all the time, as one extreme, and the father that's never home and works all the time. Everybody decides for themselves what it is. But there is such a thing for men, in my simplistic Neanderthal way. Our work, I'm convinced, defines us. A guy without a career and a success and a stuff is not going to feel as much of a man. We can't give birth. We can't make babies. We are basically horses that pull carts. If not that, what are we?
To his credit, he does spend quite a lot of time with us, so it's not mutually exclusive.
I say, go and make as much as you can while you're alive. What you do with it is your business, whether you give it to your family or charity or do both. Because I work and I have a substantial amount, I can support 100 kids in various countries in Africa. I didn't start it off that way. I'm not trying to win any points by convincing you that I'm a charitable guy. But 100 young people in Africa who would otherwise not have clothing or food or an education can do that because I work harder than I want to. And without that, who knows if they'd go by.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Hi again, Gene.
Oh, good. Congratulations.
Round two.
Stand up.
No.
Yeah.
So there's no distinguishing between personal success and financial success. They're one and the same for you. You're defined by the amount of money, right? That whatever monetary value is put on your actions.
Well, you're being academic, and we can have this kind of verbal jousting back and forth, but in the real world, the more successful you are, the more respect you'll get by men and women. Warren Buffett will be respected more than the local garbage guy. Welcome to the real world. I didn't make the rules, I just work here. Yes, ma'am. Spiritual. I never know what it means. How about charity? I think that's the biggest spirit. I think that's more important than God. Yeah, because God, doesn't help anybody. He's already invulnerable and endless and timeless. He doesn't need another person to say you're the greatest and you're the best and without you, oh, you're the King of Kings, as if, there's a self-esteem motion. Oh, I hurt your feelings, God. No. So I worry less about that and more about people. I think it's besides the point. I think if God doesn't have an ego, he wouldn't really care so much if we said his name one more time. Besides, I'm convinced it's a woman. You will have no other gods before you, because if I ever catch you looking at another god, I will smack you from the face of the earth. Who else would say that?
Is there one more question? Oh boy.
This guy in the back.
Right through that.
So you said that you should sue everyone.
No, sue everyone that infringes on you, your property, your name and likeness, and so on.
Right. Given that property rights are a Western concept and a lot of people don't have those, is there ever a limit to people who infringe upon you, or is it all economic determinism that everything that infringes upon you, you should take everything from them?
I don't like the positioning of the world, so I can't answer the question because it's leading the witness, Your Honor. In court, the question would be disavowed because it's really not a question, because your phrases are filled with landmines. In other words, you're choosing words to make a point and disguising it as a question. So why don't you dispense with the question and simply tell me how you feel? It might be more honest.
Do you think, for example, with people taking music from the internet illegally, that it is
Now we're
proper to sue them?
Download and file share, is that what we're talking about?
Yes.
Yeah.
That it's proper.
I believe that's stealing. The fact that it exists doesn't make it right. I write a song. You can't go to Disneyland and take a photo of Mickey Mouse and make copies of it. You can take one photo for yourself. When you share it with somebody else, they have the right by law to sue you, and if they don't, it's Disney's fault. You know your signature that you sign your checks with? When I write a song, or when I paint a painting, or when I write a book, that's my signature. That's my creation. I want to be the only one that determines who does something with it, what they do it, and if I want to charge them for it. If I want to give it away for free, that's my prerogative. And the record companies all over the world are in such chaos because, respectfully, they didn't have the guts, I was going to say the word balls, to go after every file sharer and downloader and the mess that they're in now, which means, by the way, hundreds of thousands of people that had jobs before are out on the street because some college kid had this kind of ethereal notion, hey man, you're rich. Why can't I just share, your songs with somebody else and not pay you for it? How about, hey man, I want you to pay me for it every time. So we sue all kinds of people all the time. This is not a popular notion among 20-year-old young people who have never had to create anything. Once you create something and you don't get paid for it, watch how your life changes. You're gonna become me. Trust me. I was 20 years old once too, and I used to sneak into rock concerts. Hey man, as soon as you say the hey man, the bullshit is coming right along with it. In other words, logic goes out the window. Dude, come on. I'm inexperienced, I'm unqualified, and whatever I have to say means nothing because I don't have any skin in the game. Dude, why can't I sneak into a concert? You're rich. Actually, it's not up to you or anybody else to determine when I'm rich. If I'm the one doing the work, I'll determine what I want to charge for it, and you have the right not to pay me for it. But you don't have the right to decide to sneak in and not pay for it and get my services for free. I should be the one that determines that. Wouldn't you agree? You're turning into me, be careful.
And that concludes the meeting of the Sean Parker Fan Club. Gene, thank you very much.